Welcome to Character in Action with Matthew J. Norcross, the official podcast of the 7 Degrees of Change Foundation. Come journey with us on the real-life stories of character in action. And now here's your host, Matthew J. Norcross.
Welcome to the show. So, the stakes have been raised high in the American animation industry these days, with big names like Disney, Pixar, and DreamWorks dominating the theatrical realm. There are plenty of smaller studios focused on television shows and commercials as well. And one of those is Out of Our Minds Animation Studios, which is based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and was founded by Danny Oakley and Keith Hobgood. They specialize in art forms like CG and stop-motion animation for commercials, and advertising clients such as Wake Forest Baptist Health, CSX, and of course, the 7 Degrees of Change Foundation. They also recently did the opening titles for a film called High Heat, which is streaming on Netflix. Out of Our Minds co-founder Danny Oakley joins us and is now on the phone. Danny, thanks for being on Character in Action.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It's good to be here.
It's our pleasure. So, you're a living example of character in action. So before we get started, can you please tell our listeners more about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm the creative director at Out of Our Minds, but we're a small company. About 7 of us, so we all have to wear lots of different hats. But I'm just a kid, went to college, got a fine arts degree, and then tried to say, well, what am I going to do with that? So got into graphic design and was doing animation on the side, and slowly over time it became less of a side and took over sort of the business. So we moved from being a graphic design company to being an animation company back in 1996.
That's amazing.
So we've been doing it a long time, and it's a great field to be in because you're constantly learning. Everything's constantly changing and never gets boring. So it's fun.
Yeah, definitely fun being in the animation business, that's for sure. I've been fascinated with animation myself. So, how do you define character?
It's that I always like. There's that old saying, and I'm probably butchering it, but it's what you do when people aren't looking or when nobody's around. It's the decisions you make, and when people aren't around and to see. That's kind of what I define as character. It's sort of like making those good choices, even if they're not popular or even if you aren't going to get any credit for it,
Exactly.
Because it's the right thing to do.
Yep. Definitely a difference between teaching character and learning about characters in certain types of media, right? Big difference.
Correct. Yes.
Yep, exactly. So, if you don't mind, can you tell us a story of witnessing either in person or in history? Someone that was a true phoenix, someone that was a role model, leading by example and making the world a better place?
This is not any, I don't know, this won't be a good specific example, but I see it constantly. I think we probably hear too much in the news and media about the opposite end of this, but to me, if you're a teacher out in the world today and you are honestly looking out for the kids and looking to teach them and better their lives, I have firsthand experience, and my wife is a teacher, but when we got married, she wasn't. She kind of went into the field.
Right.
And it was quite eye-opening. So, I mean, to me, if you're a teacher out there, you're really looking after the kids. I mean, because they really have to serve. Not only are they trying to educate, a lot of the times, they're being a psychiatrist, psychologist with the kids. They are, helping them out, trying to move through life in all the other ways, trying to help them with, they become confidants for things going on at home. So it's it becomes quite the burden to bear. And so to me, anybody that takes that burden on and keeps doing it year after year with group after group of kids, that's a huge thing. That's a true phoenix, I'd say.
Yep, I can definitely see where you're going with that. I know a lot of teachers. They're very important to the community. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're expected. A lot of responsibility gets put on them. Whether it's deserved or not. People they are expected to sort of shoulder it all and not complain, I guess, or maybe just take it with a good, But it's definitely like I said, it's definitely eye opening for me to see sort of that level. Like, oh, it's not just about doing a textbook and whatever it says and handing out sheets. It's like that's probably a tenth of what all they do for all the kids. So.
Yep. So, if you don't mind, please share a moment that stands out in your mind, something big or even the slightest gesture that was a transformative Phoenix moment, one where you know you had a significant impact on an individual's life or on a group of people.
One that stands out and is tangential to what we're talking about is we helped out. This was one of the first years of my wife teaching. It became evident that one of her students, that the home life was, for lack of a better term, it was just atrocious. We're talking about a drug-addicted parent, kids being left in homes with no heat during the winter because, you needed copper and stuff to sell off so you could buy drugs. So it was just heartbreaking to find out, it was a brother and a sister, and to find out what they were going through. And so we kind of took it upon ourselves. We sort of made sure these kids got into the right hands with a relative, and we sort of shouldered helping the relative get up and running to be ready to take these kids. They were more than willing and wanting to. They just needed some help, sort of like with getting set up to take on two kids, immediately. So it was a lot of like working with them, working with social services, just getting things like a brand new wardrobe for them, getting them beds, and the kids the kids were more than appreciative, like, because I can't say how long they had gone without even sleeping in a bed, instead of just on the floor and stuff. So, and we still keep in touch. So the last we heard, those things have gotten so much better for them. And that was years and years ago. But that was definitely it's one of those moments when you kind of go, okay, well, it's kind of time to stop worrying about all the frivolous stuff. You really get to see what the problems are in the world and make sure it's still very small. And you realize it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to do a lot to change the course of someone's life and stuff like that. So that's just a personal experience of mine, and I try to do, we try to do that kind of stuff as much as possible. But yeah, it's so hard, like, and especially with little ones, like little kids like that, because you can look at what all ails society and all this kind of stuff, and as much as we think it's something recent, I guarantee you, you can track things back to when people were kids, that, people having problems. And so it's good to be able to get in there, step in when kids really need it, before it gets something bad gets ingrained in them, and they carry it with them the rest of their life, type of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good story. So, let's begin with the trait of respect. Now, this is a very important character trait, and sadly, respect doesn't seem to be a real priority these days, especially in the age of, social media. How do you think we can rekindle the trait of respect today?
That's a great question. To me, all that kind of stuff begins at home. Respect is just like, hey, it's just manners, right? Let's start with just manners, plain manners. Get that back. The pleases and thank yous, and just sort of those basic building blocks. And it's the kind of thing too that that the social media, all the for whatever good and whatever bad it's brought. It allows. I think we all know human nature. When you don't get punished for something, you kind of feel freewheeling. So a lot of these folks, you just see the worst come out in people because it's online. There's no real repercussion for what you're saying, and you know that half of these folks, if they were to meet you in real life, they'd be just as nice as they could be, and it's. I think to get respect back, people have to start actually talking to each other more. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest thing.
Exactly.
Assuming that talking online or chatting online or through social media is any kind of replacement for face-to-face talking, it's just a poor choice type of thing.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. So let's move on to responsibility. You're the co-founder of a well-known animation studio here in the Triad area, doing a lot of commercial work, and it did the opening credits scenes of some movies. Being in the animation business is a big responsibility, and my question is, how do you manage the studios as well as your family life?
I was not good at it when I first started, but have gotten better, and that just comes with age too, right? You get, when you're young and you're starting out, and you're just kind of like, I'm going to do whatever it takes, But then, you start to quickly realize you can't keep that pace for long, right? And you got people depending on you. But as far as, I don't know, you just have to, you agree to a deadline. That's the big thing with animation is it's a lot of fun, but it is very deadline based. So we just try to plan it out. And luckily, with as much experience as we have now, and sort of we have been doing it long enough, we can see things coming and we know how long things should take. And we've done it long enough that we're pretty aware of all the problems that are going to come up.
Yeah, I can see that.
A lot of people might not know right off the bat. So a lot of it is, just kind of having that experience. And once you get that experience, you become better at planning. No matter what you think, something's going to always take a little longer, and so we need to front load things. And you feel responsible to the folks you work with too, right? Because you don't want to be pushing them past their limits either, right? So you want to make sure everybody's turning out their best work, doesn't feel too stressed, and you want to make sure they're not stressing their home lives because then that just makes them not work well at all. So I don't know, other than being really good planners after having lots of going through a lot of that trial by fire, that's kind of how we got there,
So Danny, Robbie Dillmore here, just to jump in for a second. I'm very curious, I'm sure our listeners are, of some of the projects that you've worked on, exciting things that they may have heard of?
I don't know. It's weird. We're sort of like a ghostwriter a lot of times in that, we do a lot of stuff. We work with a lot of film work. We do, opening credits. We do a lot of visual effects work. And what's funny is this is sort of one of those things where as technology has gotten better with folks making film, folks make a lot of more mistakes now because I think there's a lot more pressure to run and gun a film, it's all digital. Don't worry about it. Just go. So a lot of stuff we do, we've worked with films with David Duchovny, sort of recently, sort of this Don Johnson film. We've done some stuff for Katie Holmes films and stuff where it's actually going in and fixing mistakes, that happen because they're shooting so crazy. So you'll never see them. Like you'll never go, oh, that was a great effects shot. You know what I mean? It's not like anything you'd see in a Marvel movie,
right?
But it's all this stuff where you're fixing all these flaws. And we still get projects where we're doing a lot of that more fun stuff. But we've done a ton of movies, that you'll see on Netflix. I'm trying to, movies like there's one called Banshee that starred Antonio Banderas. We just finished up a title sequence for another Antonio Banderas film that'll be coming out later this year. It runs the gamut. And then we do a ton of educational stuff. We're working with a company called Everyday Speech, who produces social learning videos for educators and kids that are teaching social skills to children with autism, stuff like that. So that's a huge client of ours. We help them out and produce. I mean, we're probably producing 15 videos a month
15
along
videos
with them.
a month.
So it's stuff like that. It's company, working straight with corporations to do stuff. So,
and so one of the things I understand you did, right? You did the animation for the Phoenix books themselves, right?
No, well, not the animation, but
I'm not. Well, it's not animation; it's the artwork, right?
Yep, the artwork.
Yeah. So we were approached to do the Phoenix books, and I mean, it was just a great little project. We loved the stories. We loved how it was sort of this teaching character, character traits, all that type of stuff, and we were 100% on board to help out. So our illustrator at the studio, Keith Hobgood, he did all the illustrations that you see in those books, and we had fun because it's a great thing about illustration. We're sitting there, we're concepting out everything, coming up with the ideas, and so it was great going back and forth with Matt and everybody there to sort of come up with the best look, for what do the characters look like, what does their world look like, all that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of fun. It was good to see that stuff get printed and everything.
And so actually, for those of you listening, like the artwork that you're seeing for the podcast itself, right? It came from Out of Your Mind Studios. So I got to know, man, I mean, how in the world did we end up out of our mind?
No, it's funny.
Nice one, Robbie.
It's a double entendre, right? I mean, a lot of people think it means we're crazy, like, oh, you're out of your mind. But it's also, that's where your ideas generate from. So, that's sort of the other meaning of it, right? It comes out of our minds. So that's the all important concepts and ideas too.
So let's move over to fairness. How would you define fairness, and how would you want people to demonstrate this trait both in their personal lives and their professional lives?
Fairness, I don't know. It's one of those things where I think it's all about how you treat folks. I take everybody how they come. I have this thing, you heard the teachers used to say, everybody starts the year with 100, right? And so it's you can only work down, or, it's your responsibility. I almost approach people like that. You know what I mean? It's when somebody comes at me or I get to meet somebody, I'm going to assume I'm going to treat them as though I'd treat anyone else, because I'm assuming they're a good person, and that's the way I sort of take everybody. And until they give me a reason not to think that way, which is hard for me because I tend to be a very forgiving person, and I think one of the big things we lose sight of is, everybody's going through stuff. I mean, if you're out here in the world making your way, you are going through stuff just like everybody else. Everybody's job is 3 times harder than you think it is, if at least. So you just kind of have to keep all that in the back of your mind when you're dealing with people. So that's kind of how I operate. I know people have a lot more going on than just watching animation stuff, you know, but hopefully what we do can help, bring some smiles or, give a little sense of wonder to people and stuff like that. But, to me, fairness is just treating people kind of circles back on respectful almost, a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
So just be respectful to people even when you first meet them. I try not to make any prejudging, type of thing. So and just sit back and let them tell themselves about me and, through the words and actions, and then I can make my judgments from there.
Let's move on to trustworthiness. Running a small business is all about profits, but at the same time, it's all about trust. How do you build that trust with your clients?
I think it's delivering. It's delivering on what you say you will when you can. Over deliver. Under promise, over deliver. That little phrase we use a lot. When you say you're going to have something done, you have it done by then. And I think you keep that happening. It's a big kudos to our business. We are, while we're out there making, advertising materials and stuff for everybody else. We're our own worst marketers. We hardly do any advertising. So most of the work we get is through word of mouth and repeat business, because I think people like working with us. Once they kind of get a project under their belt with us, they like coming back to us, and they trust us, So it's just about making sure you do what you say you're going to do.
Yep. I agree with you 100% on that. Now let's move on to caring. And like I said earlier, you're not only an animator and an artist, but you also have a family. You're a father. Being a father is a good demonstration of the trait of caring. How do you live out this trait?
Well, I mean, I don't know. You're a dad. You see your kid. You want to help them any way you can. So, I mean, you're just kind of carrying out of the gate, hopefully, when you see them when they first come out, and they're these little things. It's like I remember when my son was born. I always say the first thing I wanted to do was hop on the phone and call my parents and apologize for being such a bratty little kid, type of thing. Because it's like in that moment, it was all like, oh, I get it. I will do anything for this kid, and it just gives you. A lot of people, I think, make the mistake of, oh, I'm going to have a kid and it's going to wear, I won't be able to do all the things I want to do. And it's like, no, to me, having a kid, caring for them, has been the best job. Like, it provides, just so much joy to me when I see them be happy and everything, and seeing the world through their eyes when they, my son, he does do a lot of artistic things. So sort of being able to just, I don't want to overbear on him or anything, but just sitting back and watching him, and, he'll push him in a little direction if he needs some help, stuff like that. It's great. It's great. And I think, becoming a parent, I think helps you become more caring to everybody else, right? I think it's that same sort of thing. You just get a new perspective of, these parents have to go through a lot. If they are doing a good job, they are putting in effort. So I don't blame them, when parents are tired or they're irritable. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, as you hear what he's talking about, Matt, it's clear that love takes like a gigantic place in the idea of caring, right? And you can hear the love that he has for his son.
Exactly.
And actually for his parents as well.
Yeah.
as he made reference to that. So, yeah.
Yep. So, let's move on to citizenship. What does it mean to you as someone who is an animation studio and is a part of the 7 Degrees board to be a good citizen?
I think it's funny because it's going to kind of incorporate a bunch of stuff, especially respect. I think, citizenship, being a good citizen, I think far too often people, I don't know, you just assume all this stuff was here. You don't realize the years, hundreds of years of work, toil, of people discussing, people arguing. I think it's just looked at as like, people came here and they built stuff, and who cares? It's all wrong. And it's like, no, we're a young country by comparison, and we've got several hundred years of people fighting for the country, people, arguing amongst themselves to do what's best, and I think that stuff just kind of gets discounted. Like, people don't even think about it anymore. And it's like, look around, look at this country, right? I mean, look at these cities, look at, look how large we are, and we still manage to hold it together. Yep. You know what I mean? So, I don't, I like to tell people to turn their TVs off and get off of social media, because I don't know how much it's helping anything right now, but it's pretty amazing. I'd say it's still one of the best places in the world, and I think we lose sight of that. I think when you're born here, you have no clue, but to me, it's like, go travel internationally. You'll have a lot more respect for people that come here.
Exactly. Just
sort of because they just can't take it anymore and they can't speak the language. want to be humbled, go travel somewhere where they don't speak the language, and you'll get that feeling. You'll know how that feels. So yeah, but being a citizen, there's a lot of work that went into this place. I think you have to respect it.
Yep. So I've done that before too, by the way, but that's another story for another day. So let's move on to empathy. We talked a lot on the show about children with certain disabilities or differences. In my case, having Asperger's syndrome or autism, or in the character Jackie's case in my book series, The Phoenix, being wheelchair bound. How do we demonstrate empathy to these people?
I think you have to, and I'm bad about this because I'm probably too much of an empath, sometimes because I make people mad because one of my things is like, well, I see how they see it. I get how they feel that way. And, it's like, well, yeah, I get how you understand. I get how you feel. So, but to me, it's about, recognizing, hey, yeah, I understand you have a disability and it's great. We can still work together. We can work through it. But, from my experience, nobody wants to be treated differently because of it. They don't want you to quote unquote sort of take it easy on them because of it. You know what I mean? That to me, then you're actually doing the opposite of what they want.
Exactly.
You can be empathetic and say, I understand, I get where you're coming from, and I will take that into account, when we're working together, living life together, but, I will treat you just the same as anybody else.
Yep. Now, before we close, real quick, please share with us some thoughts on how we can bring character back into our culture. Yeah.
He didn't really have time to do that, so just go ahead and...
All right, we're about out of time. Danny Oakley, co-founder and creative director of Alvar Minds Animation Studios. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me, Matt. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
That really was excellent, Danny. Thank you very much for all you do, obviously, and for your caring and for your love for all that. It's just wonderful, and your art is tremendous. We may have to look you up sometime.
Yep.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Danny. God bless.
And a special thanks to you, Robbie, for helping. And thank you for listening. And always remember, everyone can be a phoenix.